where it kind of started for me is I wasn't free at all. I was very much in my past pain and suffering and holding on to a lot of those things. If you're holding on to many things, many pains from the past, it's really difficult to be in the moment, live your life fully. I was in a really bad place. I was addicted to alcohol and drugs and all types of bad things. And I kind of prayed, like, I need this to stop. I need something to change in my life, because I'm just destroying myself, and I'm just like, death is the next step, most likely. She basically opened my eyes to a lot of things, like started bringing these spiritual concepts to the plate, and actually took me to a healer. And that healer was, energy healer. And after that session, my life completely changed. Like,
Oh,
it
wow.
completely changed. Like, I started having these, vision. I have a Neptune in the fourth house. So if you
Mhm.
don't know what Neptune in the fourth house is, Neptune in the fourth house it's, let's say, spiritual gifts from the family lineage. So I was like very confused about why some of the, let's say, spiritual things are happening to me. Now I know this, so how can I live with this? How can I use this? What can I actually do with this?
Mhm.
And I think this is maybe a good example of how astrology can help you.
Is there an astrological placement in your chart that still feels like a wound?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I have a very difficult one, which is Pluto square Sun. I let's say I worked with a company. I did some work with them, like IT work with them, and I like, somehow it came out that I'm also an astrologer, etc., etc. It was a big thing. Like, it was a very big thing, and I ended up getting into an argument with one of the people, because they didn't really, they wanted me to prove astrology to them. But like, for me, like, my family just like completely ignores the fact that I'm an astrologer. They cannot deal with that at all. It's scientific background. All of my grandparents were scientists. One still is in their 80s, still is a scientist. Oh yeah, definitely. The app is called Benefic. Definitely, you can download it on Google Play right now. It's actually been a pretty optimistic and positive launch, because we have close to 2,000 downloads.
What part of the business side of astrology has challenged your sense of freedom the most?
That's a freaking hell of a good question.
So, welcome back to Backstage Astrology. My name is Mayra, and today I am with Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrologer. Ian, how are you today? Thanks for being here.
I am doing exceptionally well. I'm really happy to be here. I'm just excited to be on the show. Yeah, doing good. And let's dive in.
Yeah, so I usually ask the astrologers to introduce themselves. So, how would you introduce yourself? How do you want people to know you?
I think the main part of who I am and what I do is I help people be free. So I use astrology mostly, but I also use other methodologies that I've developed, that I've learned through other teachers, through my own pain and suffering. And I put it all together, and I use it to help people be free, because I think that's one of the main things currently missing in our, let's say, consciousness, in our emotional lives, even in our business lives. So I think this is the main focus of who I am and what the Freedom Astrologer kind of represents as well.
Yeah, the freedom, the war is very present. Obviously, you're known as the freedom astrologer, but can you tell us more why freedom? Why is it so important? What's the message behind it?
The big thing is where it kind of started for me is I wasn't free at all. I was very much in my past pain and suffering and holding on to a lot of those things.
Mhm.
And again, like, gradually through different types of spirit, again, like gradually through different types of spiritual awakenings, through events, very big events in my life. I started to kind of, you know, put the pieces together that I am holding on to many things that I don't necessarily need to hold on to. I'm living my life in a very um, painful way. Let's put it this way. I don't really need to live it in that way. So once these types of kind of understandings come together and like the ball starts rolling, then bigger things start to reveal themselves to you. And for me, like it was step by step, and then gradually I understood, okay, so this is what I'm doing actually for myself. I'm yearning more for more freedom in my life, in my relationships, in my, how I interact with money, business, with people. And I think most especially it's still about how you are with yourself when you are alone. This is and even with other people as well, this is crucially important because you're holding on to many things, many pains from the past. It's really difficult to be in the moment, live your life fully, and you really need to start making let's say better decisions, and you need to understand what these things that you are actually holding on to are and how to let go of them. So that maybe sums it up a little bit.
So what I am understanding is that there was a journey, in order to get to this freedom that you are now living. So can you tell us more about the journey specifically? Like, how was it at the beginning? Was it like can you describe the journey? Was it like a lot of suffering, but suddenly you had realizations, or how did you evolve through that journey to get to where you are right now?
So there was a lot of control in my life. So I definitely wanted to control everything, but also there were these, we can call them beliefs about, how I'm supposed to be in this world and how am I supposed to, let's say, care about other people's opinions. A lot of those things come from your family background, how you were raised, what was this childhood situation, who raised you, who was the main role model, who wasn't there. For me, a big one, who wasn't there, my father really wasn't there. So these types of, big things start to, especially for a young malleable mind, they leave these scars, they leave these pains. And as a young person, you make these stories really bigger than they are, because they most likely you don't have anybody there to kind of support you, to understand why you're going through these things. So in your brain, in your consciousness, you start to think, oh, if this person left, if this person isn't there, that means something is wrong with me. So if something is wrong with me, I can't do this. So if something is wrong with me, I can't, be a basketball player. I can't be a musician, or I can't do these things. So a lot of it is those types of ideas and thoughts and belief systems we develop for ourselves, and we live in this type of prison that we've actually, truthfully created for ourselves. Now, the good news is you can, get yourself out of it. And for me, it was a very strange kind of set of events. This was already when I was in my early 20s, a really bad place. I was, addicted to alcohol and drugs and all types of bad things. But it was one kind of after a party. So I was just arrived home. I think it was like 2, 3 in the morning, something crazy, 4. And I was alone, and I just like started crying, and I hadn't cried in maybe in years, maybe. I can't remember exactly, but then what happened was like something inside of me kind of prayed. I hadn't prayed in that moment for never ever. Kind of prayed like, I need this to stop. I need something to change in my life, because this, I'm just destroying myself, and I'm just like, death is the next step, most likely. Imagine like a 20-year-old, going through something like that. So it was after that night, I got into a relationship quite soon, like 3-6 months. I can't remember the exact timeline. And she basically opened my eyes to a lot of things, like started bringing these spiritual concepts to the plate, and actually took me to a healer. And that healer was, energy healer. And after that session, my life completely changed. Completely changed. Like, I started having these, visions and big. I can obviously talk about these more, but like these very big events that I think might rock anybody's world. And then a lot of years later, here I am, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So when did you first realize that astrology would play a central role in your life? I guess that this woman had something to do with it, but how did astrology find you?
The next one, actually. So this is a weird one. Yeah, we that relationship ended, which I think in the long run it was a good thing. So the next one happened, and this is where it kind of astrology came in. I guess it came in a little bit earlier as well. I got introduced somehow to Santos Bonacci's work. He is a bit of a crazy guy, I would say, in astrology, but he's an interesting one. But anyway, so the relationship started, the second one, and what I started noticing was, like, as the relationship grew, like 6 months in, maybe 8 months in, something like that, I started noticing a pattern. Like every 2 weeks, we would fight. I was like, what the hell is going on? Why? Like, it was like these fights were so big as well. I was like, why are we fighting every 2 weeks? Like, I was noticing 2 weeks every time. Okay, so then by that time I was already kind of like doing this spiritual thing. I was asking the questions. I was kind of like meditating, etc. So I was putting this out there. I was like, so why the hell is this happening to me and to us, actually? And then randomly I was on YouTube, and I think I saw like Leo's predictions, because I have Leo sun. So at that time I just knew about the sun signs. Leo sun sign prediction for like July or something, and it was Lada Tuncheva, Lada from
Oh,
Astrolada,
wow, really?
and it was her video, and a
So
little bit
accurate.
very accurate. And I started actually listening to video. For some reason I clicked on it. I was like, okay. And she explained like the moon, how the moon is kind of influencing us, the new moon, the full moon, etc., etc. And then I was like, I was very skeptical. I was like, I don't know, your scientific background, scientific family, why is this working? Can this work? And then what I decided to do, I was like, okay, I observed it for a couple of months. Then what I did was like an experiment. So I didn't watch it for 1 month. And I was like, okay, so I will watch it after the month is done and see if the results are accurate. And then they were really accurate. And that was kind of like, I was sold. And Lara became one of my teachers and mentors, and people I worked with as well, later on in the years. But at that moment I was like, who is this lady just talking to me about my future?
Anyway, so how long have you been practicing astrology, and how has it helped you in the journey to freedom,
you
towards
know
freedom? Yeah.
yeah this is I think a two-part, like an answer. I think practicing, I started like reading charts and doing things for people around like 2015, 16ish, somewhere around that. I became like a professional when I started getting paid, to do it around beginning of 2019. So it's becoming like a decade already in that scene. I think around a decade. So I've been here for a really long time. Yeah. But how has it helped me towards freedom? I think it really accurately shows you your pain. Where does it originate from? If you know what you're reading, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
it shows you actually your gifts, why are things happening to you. Like, I'll give you an example, like Neptune in the fourth house. So if you don't know what Neptune in the fourth house is, Neptune in the fourth house is, it's, let's say, spiritual gifts from the family lineage, family line. So spiritual gifts are given through the family lineage. So I was like very confused about why some of the, let's say, spiritual things are happening to me. So I obviously started like learning and understanding and having conversations with people. And luckily, one of, my dad, my father, is the guy who has had these experiences, who's had these kind of awakenings here and there. And he kind of told me about those things and what they meant to him and how they started for him. It kind of started making sense to me. Okay, Neptune in the fourth house. This is making sense. And again, then you learn more about Neptune. It's it's dissolving of any type of boundary. So and then you put the fourth house there. Okay, so fourth house is my emotions, my emotional boundaries. So Neptune dissolves my emotional boundaries. Okay, what does that mean? So for me, it meant, okay, so now I understand why I can feel absolutely everything around me that is going on. So maybe it's a person, maybe it's an event, maybe there's a lot of people there. So I can immediately pick up, okay, so this person is feeling that, this person is feeling that.
Wow.
And at times when you're a young person, it's just overwhelming and you don't know what to do with it. But like these types of things, they start to put the pieces together, and then you can go into more of a place of, okay, so I know this, so how can I live with this? How can I use this? What can I actually do with this? And I think this is maybe a good example of how astrology can help you.
Touching on that part of your journey where you are feeling everything, because maybe people can relate here, whoever is listening to us. How do you deal with that? Because that must be draining, emotionally draining, and yeah, nobody teaches you how to set boundaries, maybe. So how do you deal with that oversensitivity, if that's how you call it?
Yeah, I would say it's more like a intuitive, sensitive
Into
person
yeah.
type thing. But yeah, it is. It can be a very difficult thing to
Yeah.
do, especially when you're not aware of it. So because sometimes when you're not aware of it, you're picking up on things that are not yours, and you start to think that they're yours. So suddenly you're like, you go into a place and you start feeling something, and you think you're angry or you're agitated, but you're not. Actually, you came into the place pretty happy and you're pretty grounded. But when you figure that out, that it's not maybe yours, and you're picking up that, there are a couple of things you need to do. So first and foremost, grounding, nature. This is almost like number one. Number two is meditation, but meditation with a very, let's say, focused type thing. So what I mean by focused type thing is I can feel myself every time, all the time, where I'm at. So what I mean by this, I can pull my attention back to my own body. At first you need to focus on something. Usually the heart is the easiest thing to focus on, but you can also focus on your body. So this is really like the most crucial thing when you're a very sensitive person, because that means you can actually pull your energy back from all those places into yourself. And now, okay, so I'm actually feeling this, and most likely this person is actually feeling this. Now I can, separate, because I can understand what I'm feeling. So now when it gets a little too much is, when there's a lot of people. So what I mean by like concerts, big events, this is very tricky, but you can still do it. You can still do it. But afterwards, I do recommend, water, any type of water, drinking, showers, baths, all of that is good, just to cleanse, to understand, because again, what you're actually doing, you're bringing your awareness back to yourself, because under the shower, you're most likely alone. It's good to be alone there at times. And again, you can focus on yourself and your bodily feeling what you're
Mm-hmm.
actually feeling yourself, because there's a lot that's been going on, and your nervous system is on high alert, and you need to bring it down a little bit. And then actually what will most likely start happening as you become better at it,
Mm-hmm.
you will actually start getting more accurate descriptions of what is happening. Whose was it? Why was I given that? Like these types of things start coming your way as well.
Yeah, maybe because you're tuning into those things when you come back to your present moment. I don't know, but it's so interesting. So it seems to me, because I've also taken some of your classes, and I remember this super good book you have about sleeping better, and I went through those a few weeks ago, especially the course you gave on how to make the best partnerships and deals, which is very, well, this is my opinion, obviously, my humble opinion, but it touches on self-esteem and self-value,
Yeah.
and how you need, like, to be aware of the gifts you have, and obviously the astrological positions that are most challenging. So
Yeah.
I found that for myself truly helpful when it comes to getting to know yourself better, your fears, the confusion, the blockages, and all these problems that we don't share, because we are always in automatic pilot, we say in Spanish, piloto automático.
Mm.
So that was really useful, and also the book Sleep Better, where you tell us, where you give us suggestions of how we can prepare to have a better sleep, the routine
Yeah.
that goes before, and all these, based on experience. You actually tested this with your students. And I think your astrology, in my opinion, is very healing. It's very about coming back to your authentic self in order to find freedom. So in
That,
that regard, can you can you tell us how, like, what's your expertise in astrology? Your favorite branch of astrology? Your what do you give? Do you do readings? Do you do therapy? How does it work for you? How do you use
mm,
astrology as a tool?
yeah. So I don't have a very specific, this is only my thing. Like Vedic, modern.
Uh-huh.
I would say I use them all. I pull from all of them. But one thing that I do with my consultations is I usually like to, start with the person, like saying, like, this is what I'm working when I'm going through this. Can you help me with this, basically?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
this is when I usually do like an initial, let's say, screening or a briefing, and I look at the chart and I send like a little summary of notes to the
mhm,
person, like, is this what you're doing? Does this originate from this, etc., etc. Kind of like a feeler thing, and also to help the person to kind of prepare for what's to come. And then when there's let's say the consultation part comes, it's a lot. I use astrology during the consultation as well. I look at the thing, I look at the chart and everything, and we look at the transits and what's going on and what's going to come. But very often, when you actually want to experience freedom and let's say um, release some of the old things that have been bothering you, you have to be a little bit open with me and be okay with me prodding a little, because
mhm.
usually what I start doing is, when the person comes to me, I start when they start talking, I start feeling things immediately. Like,
Oh,
here is the pain, here is something, triggering. What's this about? Something like that usually starts happening. Or, sometimes I get like, mother, father, I start getting voices, etc., etc. So I start giving that to the person, and we go through a definitely, let's say, like a spiritual therapy session where I work with the specific, let's say, wound or
mhm,
place that needs attention. So I can give you like an example of a person who was working with I have a permission to share this because we've also worked with, I very often I like to create these stories, stories about the session, whoever is willing to share anonymously, obviously, and I write up a kind of like almost like a novel type event from the session, so other people can actually heal from it, because there's if you're suffering from something, most likely there are hundreds, not even thousands, or maybe more, millions of people suffering from the same thing. And if we can share your healing session story with others, they will be much easier for them to heal. So yeah, just a like a very quick one is when this person had a very, let's say, controlling mother, and every time they had this interaction with them, they started feeling this anger. There was this like kind of like unfairness, and like when they came to me, I was like, okay, so there's something in the chest. So there's a lot of things in the chest unsaid. I got really, really angry all of a sudden when they came. And then, from that point, you can actually start reflecting to the person, like, is this going on? Okay, so you're angry. Okay, so it's the mother, or you're angry at the mother, and they're like, fuck yeah, I'm angry at my mother. I'm so pissed off at my mother because they keep doing the same thing all over again. It's, then you can go actually to the child self, because very often these same patterns that are now repeating in adult life are actually originating from the childhood. The mother, that they did the same thing during your childhood.
Wow.
And then you need to figure out, once the feeling has been done, and like the person understands, okay, I'm angry now, the anger usually comes out as well, and that's fine. In my session, you need to cry, laugh, be angry, yell, etc. That's good, all good. When it comes out, and it's usually, there's more grief, there's more sadness, there are more tears, all of that comes out. But now when that comes out and you've been with that part of yourself and you're okay, somewhat okay with that part of yourself, now it becomes like, okay, so what's the real plan? So now I'm a grown up again. Now I'm a very, let's say, mature adult, and now I can make a new plan how to deal with the mother, and how to put up my boundaries. Yeah, and that's what we do, or that's what I do,
Wow.
basically.
Amazing. So there's a lot of healing going on with your sessions, from what I can sense also.
So for
Yeah.
mostly, yes, because sometimes, a person comes to me still with like, predict my future type thing. No, I sometimes still do it. It's not my favorite type of thing to do, because it really, from my experience, it doesn't do much
Right.
for a person. Because if this is one of the biggest things from my work to take, is if you solve these issues gradually, if you let go of these things, then the prediction, you can change the predictions. The prediction that used to be very dark and bleak starts to, there's more light there. Your business starts to grow, you show up in the world, your relationship starts to heal. Like maybe the prediction, one time one astrologer predicted I will, separate with my now wife. Luckily that didn't came true. But like, this is the point I'm making, is maybe the astrologer is predicting, like, I see a divorce here. So I don't like to predict like this. I like to say, okay, so I see problems in your marriage, in your relationship. Yes, they're coming. But now let's, work on what's going on with you, what's going on with your partner. Let's fix the things that are actually doing the harm, or causing the harm.
Yeah, to kind of change the outcome, right? Yeah, the outcome. Interesting.
Yeah.
So well, this is more personal, but what do you do when your own chart is screaming at you, but you don't want to listen?
I think this is very hard. This is very hard as an astrologer. It's. I think the main thing here is you learn through experience. I have a like experience story as well. I had a couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago, I had Pluto square Moon. It's a very, very difficult transit, especially difficult transit. And I know as an astrologer that it's difficult. I know the things that are associated with it.
Yeah.
And I know that you're not actually supposed to trade. I'm a trader sometimes, some days when I have the time and I like it. I do like to trade. stocks or crypto or whatever commodities. But the point I'm making, I know during this transit, it's almost impossible to make the right decisions in the market. And I couldn't stop myself because I was like, oh yeah, this is a good spot, this is a good place. These I would say very outer planet transits. These are the most difficult for you to assess as an astrologer, obviously. And sometimes your ego comes in. It's like, I can change it, I can tweak it here and there, and then then the results are good. They're not. So yeah, don't do it
Interesting.
if
So,
possible.
so we talk about freedom, but also, what is your relationship with fear? How do you meet it? How do you deal with it? How's that relationship with fear?
Yeah, so I think I used to be afraid of basically everything. I remember even my benchmate in my like ninth to high school basically said like, you're a hypochondriac. Like I was afraid of everything. And so it was very strange. So what I had to do, well, obviously a lot of those things I already shared kind of have helped. But one of the main things I do with fear is, first thing is always to feel it. So the feeling part is always like the first thing. You need to understand what's going on. Again, the meditations, the presence, the showers, everything that I nature, all of that helps with fear, to feel it. So the next thing is, when you can feel it, then you're ready to actually do the thing you're afraid of. So I always like to actually go through it. So very early on in my path, I was like afraid to go with dirty clothes to the supermarket, like literally, because that was the kind of ideology given to me from my family. You don't go, you put nice clothes, you do this, and people are looking and what they have opinions of you. It's a very Estonian thing, by the way, like opinions of other people. But anyway, like I couldn't even do that. So I had to do that. I had to go and do something like that. But I'll give you one thing as well. I think this is a very powerful practice. So these very dark things that you're afraid of, let's say you're in a committed relationship, monogamous committed relationship. Both of you have given vows, or whatever you did, and you are deeply afraid of them cheating on you. Like this is something that is like constantly nagging on you, constantly thinking about it. Is so painful and it's so uncomfortable, and it starts to affect the relationship as well. So one thing, this is where you can't go out and do it, go ahead and meet your fears. But what you can do is, this is I would say a practice for the more advanced, but I do recommend it for people who will basically can't do it. So what you need to do is take your time, be in a private setting, alone. For me is the best one. If you at first need somebody to be there with you, that's fine, but be it somebody who you can trust. So that's a big one. Now, in your mind's eye, close your eyes. In your mind's eye, go into the place of what you are afraid of. So let's say you're afraid of your partner cheating on you. Go in your mind's eye and have them cheat on you with everybody, like the person, the neighbor, the people they work with, everybody. While you're doing it, while you're imagining that, again, the feeling, go into where the feeling actually is and actually allow yourself to feel it, feel the fear. So this is, once you do that, I literally promise you, you won't, like, you do that enough, you won't be afraid of it. It will lose all of its power over you, and you will be free from it. But this is the issue that I've encountered with it, is a lot of people are afraid to do it. are afraid to still do it, even if it's in their mind's eye. The fear is so big that they can't do it, and instead they choose to live in that fear. So for
Yeah.
me, that's very surprising at times, but like I usually think and believe, and I've seen this as well, that it comes when they're ready. So when they're ready, they will jump in and actually get and deal with the fear, because underneath the feeling of being afraid of somebody cheating on you or a partner cheating on you is actually the fear of losing their love. And most likely it's not even their love, it's the love of whoever love you lost. And most often, again, it's your either parent or a caregiver. Like 99% of the time it's mother, father, sometimes like aunt, grandparent. But these, yeah.
That's interesting because actually something I learned from you, I can remember if it was one of your courses or your YouTube videos, is when you were telling us to learn to feel the emotions, because when you're afraid, close your eyes, tune into that feeling, blah 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 blah, or sadness or crisis, whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's silly, but I found it so profound and useful until today, because it really, I take two steps back. Even now, I live in a place where there was a war, and so we have the missiles and the sirens and all this, like, the sounds doesn't help, they don't help. So it really helped me that, okay, breathe twice, okay, accepting, I'm afraid, but in the end, I'm in control. So I have to thank you for that, because this is something I practice until today. And I remember it was, I think, one of your courses or your videos, because what we do as humans is we avoid those feelings, all the time,
100%.
the
Yeah.
discomfort and no, what you're saying, people don't want to tune into those scenarios because they don't want to deal with maybe the emotions or the feelings, so
Exactly.
I found it that completely useful until this day. But tell us more about your chart, logical placement in your chart that still feels like a wound more than a gift, and how
So
you deal with it.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I have a very difficult one, which is Pluto square Sun, and it's quite heavy. Although my Sun and Pluto both are pretty strong, very strong,
Uh-huh.
but even then, the aspect itself is a very much of your power being taken away
Mhm.
somewhere, someplace,
Mhm.
usually by the father, the
Mhm.
son.
Mhm.
Some cases it's the mother. So in some charts, the son is the mother, but very often it's the father. And sometimes it does come back. And again, I basically go with all of the practices I've describing to you. I go with whatever is the most prominent in where I'm at, because I can even give you a bit of an example with this, because it was like a month ago when it came back for a new layer to heal within myself. It's a repeating pattern. I see sometimes it's when I perceive somebody not appreciating the effort I put in, like maybe the work that I put in, the sun, the lot of my creative side comes out into the world to build things, and you're not appreciating that. That is literally the same wound with the Pluto square. It's the exact wound that's being triggered. And the first reaction there is, because it's Pluto and it's the sun, I will go somewhere else and I will show you and I will make you sorry for not seeing the perfection or the uniqueness or the work that I'm putting forth.
The
That's
gifts.
the gifts, the Leo, the big one. But the actual thing is actually, the opposite. You need to go inside. You need to understand this is very painful right now for me, because they are not seeing my effort, what I'm putting out there. And this is sometimes, it takes a little while to get through it, but then when you accept the feeling, when you are with the feeling, that's already let's say a victory. now you can make better decisions. Like, do I really need to leave this situation? Are they not really appreciating, or is it, my weird, strange story that I keep telling about this situation? That's where you can actually evaluate it from a very grounded place, because sometimes that's like the truth. You need to leave that space. But sometimes, again, you're making it too dramatic. You're making it too painful, and there's actually more in that situation that you need to see, and to actually maybe even put in more effort and work. So yeah, so that's a big one.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So more changing gears a little bit here. So once you become an astrologer, how do people react when you tell them you're an astrologer? Like your friends or friends of friends or parents at your kids' school or stuff like that. Have any stories?
I think I have a couple. Yeah, usually, depending on the situation, it's not so positive. But I also have like positive stories. But like, let's say I worked with a company. I did some work with them, like IT work with them, and I like somehow it came out that I'm also an astrologer, etc., etc. It was a big thing. Like it was like, so it was a very big thing, and I ended up getting into an argument with one of the people because they didn't really, they wanted me to prove astrology to them. I got into an argument with them. It's I think it's not a good idea for you, like astrologer, to get into arguments, because in the end you don't have anything to prove. And I have found this as well. If they start arguing with you already, there's nothing you can basically say. You can basically say their whole life story to them. Like if you want to waste that time and energy, I would say call it a waste of time and energy. They will still not believe it. So that's like the sad part, I would say. And when they have an ounce of opening, meaning they've heard something, usually they come and ask more questions. So it's a more of a positive kind of like a meeting. But like for me, like my family just like completely ignores the fact that I'm an astrologer. They cannot deal with that at all. It's scientific background. All of my grandparents were scientists. One still is in their 80s, still is a scientist. Very, because of that scientific background, there was a lot, kind of like one of my grandfathers was in a very high position in a university. So that prestige of that science, that it doesn't compute.
Yeah. How come the grandson is into these things? I can only imagine, maybe
Exactly.
the perceptions. So you were talking about IT. So what else do you do? Because I know recently launched an astrology app. I was surprised when I got that email, and I was like so happy that like somebody's doing an amazing job for astrologers. So tell us more about that app if you want to share.
The app is called Benefic. Definitely, you can download it on Google Play right now. It's actually been a pretty optimistic and positive launch, because we have close to 2,000 downloads, and people are enjoying it and leaving reviews. So it's a good one, especially. I feel proud of that work that we put into it. And there's obviously more work to be done with it, and our vision, because it's not only me, it's other people as well. My vision and our vision for it is for astrology to be attainable, understandable for people, and affordable as well, because my one-on-one sessions can be quite pricey, but like that app is there's always going to be a free version of that app, so you can literally use it for free. But like the yearly subscription, you get everything. You get so much information for like €6.99. So it's a very affordable way to kind of learn about yourself, learn about others, learn about the world, and understand why some of the things in your life, or most of the things in your life, are the way they are. So yeah, I definitely, I have one foot in the IT tech industry. I can develop things. I can, you know, put pieces together. So
Yeah.
I like that world as well. And more, let's put it this way, more astrological software is coming. It will be definitely my path moving
Oh my
forward.
God, that's so exciting. I'm looking at the app, that's why, because I have the free version now, and it's
Nice.
giving me like my, daily transits and other stuff. So I really recommend. Oh wow, that's such a nice illustration of my chart, like the way you design it. It's very cool.
And
Um,
I don't know if you've already discovered like the natal chart part. It's a little bit maybe hidden in the menu, but there's a big natal chart part as well, where we basically translate your entire chart, your entire aspects, your house cusps, your
uh-huh.
planets, your houses, everything.
I
There's also
see.
that as well. So that you get also in the free version, guys. So
Oh
literally go.
yeah.
I'd recommend you go and download it and you know, get to know astrology, even if you're like very beginner.
Yeah,
This
I
this
was gonna
is,
say, yeah.
yeah, it's for you as well. It's not, you know, you don't have to
Okay.
be a crazy astrologer type person to enjoy this app and get to know yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, guys, go ahead. I have it here. And yeah, there is a cusp report, aspect report, planet in house, planet in sign. So even if you're a beginner, I think this could help you, tons to understand planets, signs, and your own, through your own chart. So thanks for developing that. And for, if you're gonna do astrological software, keep us posted. By the way, I'm gonna leave Ian's website and the link to download the app. I'm gonna leave it in the description, guys. So in case you want to check it out, there is a free version, so you can, just go there and explore a little bit. And
Exactly.
talking now about your app and your business and everything. One of the business side of astrology has challenged your sense of freedom the most?
That's a freaking hell of a good question. I think you know, when I got into this business, my intention, you know, you always think about yourself as well, but my
Yeah.
intention, because I was helped by a lot of people before I arrived where I've arrived,
Mhm.
and I keep arriving constantly. I still have mentors and people around me to kind of help me, but like the point is, my intention was to help people. That was the only kind of underlying current why I even wanted to get into the business. Like, yes, you know, you get to free work on your own time, the kind of freedom to travel, etc., etc., but that was the main core. And when I got into the business at first, it seemed like, whoa, so people are like that as well. And then, you know, a couple of transits hit, and I started seeing actually, you know, the dark side of astrology as well, and astrologers as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think that has really challenged me in a way where I was like, do I even want to be associated with these types of things? And it got to a place where I was like, I can't let like maybe a few dark people stop me from doing like the initial vision what I had in mind to do. So you know, what I would urge people to kind of maybe do with this is, when you have an astrologer saying things to you that seem like they're manipulating you through fear,
Mhm.
and they're not really giving you ways out of it, how to navigate it, how to work with it, how to live your life in spite of these transits that are coming to kill you or something. uh Unfortunately, that's a real thing. You know, this is where you need to be careful, and you need to understand that this is maybe not the person for you.
Mhm.
And I would urge you to look elsewhere as well, because this is what is has happened to me a lot. Is a person comes to me from these astrologers and say, this and this and this said to me that I'm going to die, that I'm a bad person. This is a big one. There are astrologers out there who give consultations to people and say that there are mean and evil people, and then people come to me and it's like, am I a bad person? And I'm like looking at, yeah, you have some maybe challenges here and there, but it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You need to work on these things. So I've seen the darkness of this business, and but I wasn't enjoying it, and I hope people stop. And maybe I have some word to say about this and how to change it, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, no, that's a good advice. What you just told us about if it's causing you a sense of fear or if it's threatening your emotional vibration or something, maybe that's where you should pause and just think if, as you said, what we're feeling or what he said that made you feel like that, and probably stop and look somewhere else. Actually, we were talking to other astrologers about this, and in the end, you resonate with certain type of people and astrologers as well. So in the end, we end up choosing our astrologers, but I think the recommendation you just gave is very useful.
Yep.
So
just one maybe piece, because sometimes you can go through a very difficult transit. Maybe it's a Neptune square opposition, and then that comes in, and then you're confused, and you're kind of like misguided almost, and it makes you kind of go down a wrong path. And I know why these people are doing it. They're doing because then you will go again and get another consultation, pay more money, then they will give you something else. It's kind of like a vicious cycle.
Yeah, interesting. So, well, the next question, I think you already gave the answer, but it was, what's something about the astrology world that you think needs healing? I think it's really related to it.
I think it's very related to that, and I think it's it makes me sad. It makes me really sad that it's happening, but it does almost like raise the bar for you guys who are maybe more on the side of like the consumer of the business, to raise your bar a little. Obviously, astrologers have to meet you. This is unacceptable that this is happening, but like maybe it's a practice for you to understand and develop some of your senses a little bit more, because this is where I'm conflicted with saying this, because a lot of these people are in very vulnerable positions, and that's why I don't like it, because you're supposed to help empower these people out of those vulnerable positions into more powerful positions. That's the job of the astrologer, not to tell the future with what will happen in a negative scary way. Exactly.
Scary way. So the last two questions are, if you could transmit only one astrological truth to the world, what would it be?
That's a good. Oh yeah. One truth. Yes, I have actually a good answer for this. I think it's a good one. So you can actually free yourself from the shackles of astrology. So what do I mean by this is, let's say you're a Libra ascendant, Libra moon, sun, and people constantly tell you, you have trouble making decisions. You constantly weigh things here and there. You can't make the decision one way or the other, and people are really frustrated with you. And you've also you have a responsibility there. You've taken that persona on. It doesn't mean that you have to be like that. You just have to figure out, and again, very often for Libras, it's actually the fear underneath of what happens if I make the wrong decision. That's why I'm so afraid of making the decision right now.
So you're helping me understand my husband now. So go on.
Yeah, he's weighing. I know, but like very often it's a fear of making the wrong decision. And what does that fear mean? If I make the wrong decision, who am I? What am I? am I like, is my mother going to yell at me? Is my father going to yell at me? Are they going to take away their love? So I'm still that little boy or girl who is afraid, deeply afraid of making that wrong decision. And now if I make the wrong decision, is my spouse going to come at me as an adult? Is my boss going to come at me as an adult and yell? And then I'm going to have to feel that same pain all over again, which is most likely the case, which unfortunately there's no, because this is the way the scenario plays out. Because if you don't make this decision, they come and yell at you and scream at you, and they tell you this and that, so you have to feel it anyway. Now, there's almost no escape from this. So you have to kind of feel it. When you start feeling that fear and experiencing that, most likely these images will come and memories will come from the past to you. Then it will open up a new world, and you will see like, okay, so if I make a wrong decision and they yell at me, I just feel the pain and move on with my life. And then the wrong decision becomes less and less scary, basically, is what I'm saying. But you have to do it constantly, because especially if now you're an adult, you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, 60s, that belief has just, it has so like big roots underneath. So it will be much harder to kind of eradicate. But what I'm saying to you is there's a way out of it, and you can actually start making better decisions quicker. Let's put it this way, or even like, first and foremost, doing making decisions quicker without having so much anxiety and fear of making the wrong one. Being okay, I know this is going to come, I know this fear is going to come, I'm prepared. I as an adult am prepared to make it. Yeah. Sorry, you're muted.
I was saying that's very insightful, and sorry, I was coughing, and yeah, I can relate to that. I have my partner is Libra sun, and yeah, it really resonates now. I understand where is it coming from when he's like, no, yes, and he's checking with half of the world about something, and I'm like, just buy it or don't, or like just
It's
it's
because it's a lot of it was also, Libras had to get that input from the caregiver or parent as well, like the okay, like this, okay, you can do it, and
like an approval or
like an
something.
approval. So that's a big portion of that as well. Parents, parents, sometimes we do things that are not good for our children.
Well, no, I guess everyone is trying their best with what they
Of
know,
course, of course, I get it,
But
totally get it.
yeah. So, Ian, finally, what current or upcoming transit do you personally find most inspiring or challenging, and why?
So I have two. One positive, one very negative. I'll start with the negative, then I go with the positive. So we can end on a positive note. But the negative one that is coming, my personal one is coming, Pluto opposite my Sun and Mercury, both at the same time. Most likely I've already, let's say, because I receive also visions and premonitions of what's going to happen, from a personal experience, from a personal level as well, for the people around me. I already know one of the, let's say, close ones in my family is going to pass during this time, during this transit. And it's like the vision has been given to me to kind of let's say, grieve it all in advance, because I know it's coming and it's going to affect a lot of it. And I'm almost like almost like preparing for the difficulty that is coming, and I know it's coming, and it still scares me a lot, but it's okay at the same time as well. So this is what starts to happen with you. It's like the death and the life, they start to melt into one at times. You're still human, you still feel the grief and the emotions and feelings, but like when you have a lot of these spiritual awakenings and experiences like these, these notions of life and death, they melt into one. That's on a negative note, but on a positive note, I will have Uranus conjunct my Jupiter. Already
Oh,
have almost happening, so it's pretty exciting. I'm receiving downloads. I'm more, I don't know, these types of ideas and things are happening in a lot of ways that I can't even describe. It's a pretty exciting transit to have.
well, you just released your app, no?
Yeah,
That,
it's obviously
yeah,
that's one of the
that's
things.
one.
Uranus technology, Jupiter. It's
Yeah.
Jupiter is actually the third house ruler as well,
Mm.
so it's a lot about marketing, sales, webinars,
Gadgets.
technology. Yeah. So
Awesome.
there's good things happening as well. So this is maybe a good thing to end with as well. If you're having a difficult transit, there's something positive in your chart as well that is helping you through it or helping with it. You
Mhm.
know.
Ian, thank you so much. Tell us just quickly what do you have in mind? Are you gonna teach courses again? Are you doing your consultations? Are you opening seminars? Any new books? What's up with you these days? Besides from the
Def-
app.
Definitely. I'm co-creating. This has already been finished. Let's say an astrological calendar for 2026 that will come out
Oh,
a couple of weeks, 4 weeks from now on. It should be available for sale. And yeah, I'm going to start teaching more. Definitely, I have a lot. I have to do because I have so much material for the second part of how to make the best deals.
yeah, I think that's
Course,
brilliant. I was going through it again, and I'm like, oh my God, like maybe I won't put this in the interview, but yeah, you should like revamp it or reopen it or something. There's so many like gold gold pieces. I don't know how you say it.
I'm probably
Yeah.
going to do it. I don't have a timeline for that yet, but I
Mhm.
want to do it and I want to teach it because there's so much information
Yes.
I've gained
Yes.
through experiences and awakenings and other
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Consultations,
you.
consultations. Yeah,
Yeah.
consultations also open. I'm probably going to change it, tweak it a little bit. So
Hmm.
for me, the main part of why I do consultations, I want to work with the right people at the right time,
Yeah.
and why I'm probably going to go down the route of creating a community who will get to know more of the intimate side of the Freedom Astrologer and get more intimate materials. And those people will get access to consultations as well. This is what I'm
Hmm.
thinking, just because then they will be more prepared to do the actual work and not just go with the predict my future type thing. This is where I'm
Yeah.
kind of headed with the consultations.
Yeah. Or just like, and can you get me healed tomorrow? Without going to any person. No, I get you. I get you. And are
It's
you?
very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still on YouTube? Yeah, you are.
Yes,
No.
I'm
Yeah.
YouTube. I have a new channel which is called Freedom Channeled,
Hmm.
where I do channelings, let's say intuitive channelings, the messages I do receive.
Hmm.
These are more like a general guidance, sometimes a very personal guidance. And then
Hmm.
I have the Freedom Astrologer Astrology channel as well, where still a lot of interviews, videos,
Yeah.
just a lot of free resources you can get started with. There's, I don't know, like 300, 800 videos. I don't know anymore. A
Yeah,
lot
I
of videos.
remember I follow it thoroughly, and your interviews, not your videos with Tony, and then the Cosmic Adults series you had,
Yeah,
and yeah, and currently the one you have, the Freedom channel.
yeah,
I was telling Ian before we actually started recording that it's like having a daily, like 5 minute, sometimes 10 minutes, like astro tip in a way,
yeah. Basically,
but
yeah,
combined with his intuitive gifts, let's call it like that. So I
yeah.
find them very useful when I'm in the bus or I'm walking and I just want to listen to something that nurtures me. I turn into your small videos.
That's really good to hear. Just maybe a word of warning. Sometimes there's a little bit, not all the time, but maybe there's a little bit of a almost like a shadow work type message in there as well. So I mostly, maybe I do receive, I would say, positive things, but there are things sometimes that I get that are, necessary for people to understand from a very difficult perspective as well. Like there's something we need to look at in ourselves to be better people around, all around. Let's call it that.
Yeah, and I think it's very honest from you to do that, because I mean, not everything can be positive all the time, for in order to have light, you need darkness. So I think it's completely normal, but yeah, it depends obviously how people take it, but that's not your problem in a way, if you're just sharing what you are seeing or feeling. So I think it's a great channel, the new one. I really like it. Thank you for doing that. And Ian, I really hope to have you back someday again. I have more questions, but I also need to honor your time. So thanks for being here and sharing with us and getting real. Is there anything else you want to say?
So definitely, if you want me back, I enjoy giving these types of interviews. Enjoy telling stories about healing and astrology and whatnot. So definitely, we'll be back. Yeah, guys, take your time for the next years. It will be a wild ride. It won't be easy. The better you are with yourself, the more in tune you are with yourself, the easier it will be for you. So if there's one thing to kind of work on or understand more, it's yourself. And if you put the effort there, no AI or anything can take away your job. Basically, it's I think it's a investment worth making. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Ian. Thank you so much. And thanks for tuning in. And see you in the next episode. Thank you again, Ian, and see you soon.
Thanks. Bye.